I do mine very, very relaxed. Like I'm a really relaxed closer. When I sit in the house, I kind of like lean back in the chair. I'm not very like forceful in sitting front. Here's one the way that I've closed and it's worked beautifully many times is I've actually just taken the rate sheet and gone, Miss Jones, like, all right, we know your health. We know you're at. I'm like, I'm not too smart. Let me look at this with you. And I'll pull over next to their chair and I'll pull out the rate sheet. And for one unit of, it'll be $4.73. And I'll be like, okay, so you're a female, you're 73 years old, you don't smoke, right? Okay, good. And I'll say, it's only $4. And they're like, are you serious? That's it? I'm going to go, yeah, well, that's only for, one unit. How many units do you want? And they'll go, oh, I want 15 units, right? And I'll go, okay, 413 plus 413 equals 826. And they'll go, baby, it's about $75 because they already knew the math before you got there, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness, you're so smart. They're like, why don't you just pull a calculator in your phone? Now I just did it, and they go, oh yeah, that works for me. They knew what they could afford before you got there. They've been quoted a couple things before you got there. And if you remember what they get in the mail, it's these Globe Life where you can choose your units. Globe Life or these other companies, I won't say their names again, sorry. We might be able to that out. Other companies that you see in the mail will come in and say, you want 5 units, 10 units, 15 units, or 20 units. And people can choose their own. They feel like they're in control. So I give them control and I just give them this and go, you tell me which works for you. And I sit back and they know exactly where their budget is and they scroll along and they'll go $75. That's exactly where I sit.
Yeah. I mean, well, and like you said, it's not their first time talking to somebody. And that's, I mean, I know it's a little bit off topic, but it is something that is, I mean, it's a rare thing that I am the first person that my prospect has ever spoken to. Like I was doing the math on this the other day. I think I've given something like 3,000 or 3,500, something like a lot of presentations.
Sure.
And I think I've had 5 people out of all of those where I was genuinely the first person that I'd ever spoken to.
Sure.
That they'd ever spoken to. It's not. They know why you're there before you get there. They don't really think it's free. They know you're coming to sell them insurance. Like they all know. So it's all gotta. I mean, that's part of the base assumption.
Hang on, Nick. Every person that you go by, everybody thinks it's free. The lead says it's free. The leads are crap. It's just free, Nick. Everybody thinks it's free.
I know. They none of them believe it's free. Not a single person that you've ever spoken to.
Come on.
No, it's true.
It's
Jose,
free.
How many people have you spoken to that believed it was free?
Honestly, probably 2.
Yeah, right. and how many? And like, you've probably not done the math, but how many presentations a week do you give?
Somewhere between 14 to 28.
So
quite a bit.
14 to 28 presentations a week for 4+ years, and 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I actually believed it. I could be wrong there too.
Right. And that's the thing. Like
the other ones were all wet.
Sometimes you get sold, I guess. Right. But
Okay.
But yeah. No, none of them believe it's free.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that I just wanted to put the whole devil's advocate spin on there. I really I know
you're
this.
A good devil's advocate.
Yeah, I know this. I know. But yeah, when someone tells you they think it's free, do you mind talking about what we talked about in our group chat? Because I thought it was hilarious. Just give them the card and go, just show me where it says free on this card, please. Because that's hilarious, and that's amazing.
That's again. That's not something. That is something that somebody else told me, and I will not mention that person's name in case it gets them in trouble or something.
That's awesome.
But but the idea being that when they say it's free, you say, great. If you can, I will get you free insurance if you can show me where on this card it says it's free.
Sure.
And that's not the type of thing you want to do when you're actually trying to make the sale, because that's the type of thing you do that gets you kicked out of the house. But it is the type of thing that maybe is fun to do if you're about to get kicked out of the house anyway.
Sure. Jose, I'm like I said, I'm more of a relaxed closer. Are you more of a direct closer? Like, are you from the moment you get in the house, are you like, how long does it take you to warm up, to go into, to transition to insurance, to do your presentation, to get your clothes and get out of the house?
How's my mic? Is it okay?
Yeah,
Can
you
you hear
sound
me?
great.
It's not no back sound.
Mm-mm.
I pretty much start right away. I don't do any warm up or anything like that. My warm up is me smiling them, saying, "Hi, nice to meet you. Can we use the table?" That's my warm up.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we use the table? Oh, sure, that's fine. And then we just go to the table and I start. Uh, I guess part of my warm up is I use these folders that I stuff a bunch of cards in. I wish I had one here. Oh yeah, I use these mead folders, and inside of this, it has a pocket. Can you see that?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, so I stuff it. I always make sure there's a lot of cards, not list like one or two. It looks all shady or I always make sure it's nice. Like I'm there. I've got a lot of these. Yeah, I'm handing these babies out. Okay, so anyway, I open it and I pull out one of these cards, and so like I told you on the phone, my name's Jose Arteaga. Here's my card. It's got my state license right on there and all that. And this is the card that you sent in. Like I just go from there.
Mm-hmm.
You probably recognize your writing. Oh yeah, that's my writing. And so for me, giving them my business card is part of the
Transition.
where I'm moving forward, and also it puts them at ease when I say it's got my state license right on there and all that. And then I divert their attention. So they have a piece of information that they can fact check me. They don't need for me to sell them who I am or believe me anymore, because they have something that they can always look for. Now they can look for that license number if they really, really wanted to. So they have a piece of information that's mine that they can verify.
Sure.
So the whole, do we really trust you? Are you even a salesman or insurance? Are you somebody that we're comfortable giving information to, is kind of dead there. I put that to rest, and I immediately, and them psychologically, I think they're like they're okay with that. They're like, okay, we got his card, he's got his license on there, we can check that later. Okay, and then I move it to, and this is a card that you sent in. It's got your information around. So
Yeah.
I just move on in. It's never
Well,
been a problem, and
I like the
I'm
way
always
you.
kind of behind the clock.
Sure, and I
I'm
like the
always
way
in a
you
hurry.
use the you like the way you use the kind of the assumptive of, like, you filled out this card. I assume you remember filling this out, or this is your handwriting. As you know, right?
You probably
And
recognize your writing.
you probably recognize your writing. Yeah, yeah. That's
Or if it's a couple, I'll say, whose writing is this?
yeah.
And
Who's got the bad handwriting here, anyways? Is it him or her?
usually I won't joke, but I'm nice. I'm polite. I close differently with everybody. So I'm like, I adapt to the person. If it's
Sure.
that kind of person, I talk to them a certain way. If it's a different kind of person, I talk to them that certain way. I change a little bit to the person. The presentation's all the same steps. Uh, what speed I go to, I always make sure I wait for them. If I'm moving along and I left them behind, it's not getting in their head. They're not following me. I lost them. So I got to slow down, make sure we're walking together and they're understanding when I'm telling them. And then simplicity is the best for me. If they don't understand it, they're not going to buy anything from you.
Sure.
And if it's real simple, it's not a hard decision. It's something they can do today. If you make it complicated, you got to start getting into the back end of things and how these numbers calculate to this. And for me, it doesn't work. It complicates it. Now they're scared to make a decision today. They got to think about it, talk to their kids or something. So I make it real simple. It's black and white, and it's not an issue at all. I just move
Sure.
it. I will throw in a joke once in a while. My jokes are more of sarcasm, a little bit, maybe just a little hint of sarcasm, just add a little levity here and there.
Sure. Okay.
If they, just be you, relax a little bit and still be your likable self. You're probably already a person that people like a lot, or a very what do you call that? Personable
Yep.
kind of person. So just kind of relax a little bit, be you, and don't get all commission sales breath, or it's just. And when they tell you, like, for example, the $200 quote, if they say yeah, act like you've been there before.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
okay,
Right.
okay. And then I have a serious face like the whole time. It's kind of like, I smile, but I go back to my business, back to business, back to business,
Mm-hmm.
And so they say $200, like, okay. And I start going into the next step. Like, it's nothing.
Gotcha.
Like they said $2, whatever. Or like they said 40. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. Nick, are you similar to Vince, where you educate the client on the three main types of life insurance?
I don't talk about other forms of life insurance unless it needs to be discussed. I can, and sometimes it's appropriate. Like if you come across somebody and they've got a term policy, or every now and then I sit down with somebody and they say, okay, I already know I only want term life to pay for my funeral. Okay, well, we need to talk about that.
Sure.
Or if I meet somebody and they've got a universal life policy that's on the edge of falling apart, you got to talk to them about what's happening to their policy and why. So that sometimes that's appropriate, and like Jose said, sometimes you got to tailor what you're talking about to the person you're talking to. But as a general rule, I try to keep things focused. I assume that because they sent in a final expense card, that they want to discuss final expense insurance, unless they tell me otherwise.
Sure.
I assume that since they're wanting to discuss final expense insurance, the only insurance that's appropriate for them is whole life, because term life policy is not appropriate for final expenses. And the universal life policy is weird and complicated and probably not appropriate for their budget.
Yeah, I definitely don't talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason I do, though, is because the Globe and the AARP and all the stuff that they get in the mail is different types of insurance. I want to make sure they understand what they're looking at.
Yeah, and if they bring that up, I will definitely I have stuff ready to go to talk about it if that becomes a problem. But if it's not something that they're thinking about, I don't want to put it in their head. So I don't talk about it unless they give me a reason to talk about
it. I guess mine's a little bit different here, and this is not devil's advocate. I go in and I say, look, the main part of my job is to help educate you on the three main types of life insurance, so you better understand which is the best one for you before I leave today. So there's term, which ain't perm. It's like the president. No matter how much we hate or love the president, at the end of the president's term, that person has got to go away, right? There's not been a president that has made it longer than 8 years. There never will be. There never has been. Some have only made it 4, some made it a little bit less, but there's never been anybody that made it more than 8 years. And they go, yeah, I know. Say, okay, now whole life is good, just like and I get them to say whole life, right? I want them to pay attention to what I'm saying, so I know they're listening. And I say, look, your budget, your money works like this. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. So your payment's going to be the same. So it doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, unfortunately, but it's going to stay the same. So it's going to fit your budget. And then universal life is like those two things had a baby. Okay. And it's very complicated and we don't want to get into it, but universal life is definitely not the one you want to do here. Out of those three that I just explained, which one seems like it's the best thing for you? And 9 out of 10 times they're going to say whole life. And then that's kind of how I just play into it. But that really takes me maybe 2 minutes in total explaining how those three types of insurance works.
Yeah.
So when they say I want whole life, I know they said they want it. Now I'm assuming and going forward with my whole life.
Yeah. And if that's the way that your presentation is structured, it makes sense to discuss those things. For me, my presentation is structured around the assumption that they already know that they want whole life insurance. So we do an educational portion in the presentation, but what I'm educating on is how whole life works and what the benefits of whole life are for them. If, like I said, if they give me a reason to think, hey, I've been looking at this AARP or I've been looking at this AAA or whoever, term life policies, I've got me a buddy who sells Primerica, whatever.
Sure.
The reason I just kind of skip, I don't want to get in that situation, because then it looks like you're becoming defensive. and trying to talk bad about another product because they brought it up. I don't like doing that for me.
No, I get that.
So like the whole reason that number one reason I do is, number one, I want to educate them, and I want to make sure that I can knock out all the objections from, well, I was thinking about getting this AARP. Well, they're not going to say that now because now they know how it works. Or Globe or Colonial Penn or any of these companies that are different. And then when I'm educating on the accidental, it's very short. You know, accidental only pays if you die in an accident. It's usually offered by your banks or your credit unions. Do you know if your bank offers anything like that? So now in the first 5 minutes of me being in the house, I know that whole life is going to be best for them, and they have a bank account.
Got it.
Yeah. I get the worry about them them feeling like you're getting defensive.
Maybe that's just in my head.
Yeah, because it's really easy to just kind of say, oh yeah, sure, we can definitely talk about that. This is how that works. You know, these are those programs, and I have rate sheets for AARP. I have rate sheets for Global.
Well, that would definitely help then.
You know, like you should have those. Let's talk. I can get you stuff. But like, I actually signed myself up to be on Globe Life's mailing list when I first got into the business. They sent me junk mail, and I've turned it back in. I get stuff from Globe Life all the time. Yeah, so it's pretty simple to just kind of be like, yeah, so this is what those are, and this is what we recommend, and it's just not what we recommend. You know, for what you're telling me you're trying to do, which is plan for your funeral and your final expense. We don't recommend that. It doesn't make sense. But and it's usually not a whole lot more difficult than just that.